So in this video we're going to go over how to sketch a plane in space if each of the x, y, z variables are present in the equation of the plane. And when we sketch planes in space, what we take advantage of is what we call the trace of the plane. And the trace of a plane is simply the line that the line of intersection the plane forms with either the xy, so in this case this trace is the trace of this blue plane in the xy plane. We also look at the trace of the plane in the xz and yz planes, and we use those traces to draw to draw a visual representation or graph of the plane in three-dimensional space. So for example, we could be asked to sketch the plane 3x plus 2y plus 4z equals 12. And that plane, which is represented here in green, intersects each of the x, y, yz, and xz planes, and it forms traces or lines of intersection with each of those planes. And the general technique is to find where your plane intersects the z-axis, where it intersects the x-axis, and where it intersects the y-axis, and then to draw in the three traces to form a triangle, and we use the triangle that we draw in to represent the entire plane. So if we kind of start from scratch with this equation of a plane, the general technique is to find the intersections of the plane with the axes. So to do that, we'll start by letting x equal y equals 0, because on the z-axis the x and the y coordinates are both 0. And then we recognize if we plug in 0 for x and y, we'll be left with the equation 4z equals 12, and then solving for z, we see z has to equal 3. So we get the ordered pair, x and y are 0 and z is 3, and then we go ahead and plot that point of intersection, 0, 0, 3. We then let x equal z equals 0, because on the y-axis the x and z coordinates will both be 0. If we plug in zeros for x and z, it will zero these terms out and leave us with the equation twice y equals 12. So we get 2y equals 12, and then solving for y we get y equals 6. So we get an intersection at x is 0, y is 6, z is 0, which would correspond to this point on the y-axis, 0, 6, 0. And now that actually establishes the trace of the plane in... Ooh, that's horrible drawing there. This is where you wish you could have a ruler. So if I'm on paper, I would be using a ruler to do this. Anyways, we want the line from those 2 points of intersection. This gives us a part of the trace of the plane in the YZ plane, because this is the x, the y, the z, so the zy plane is right here. And then we want to go ahead and do the same thing again, but this time we'll let y equals z equals 0. So if we're letting y and z equal 0, that's going to zero these two terms out, and we'll be left with the equation 3x equals 12, which means x will have to equal 4. And then that gives us the point x is 4, y is 0, 0, z is 0, which corresponds to this point right here. This is the point 4, 0, 0. And that establishes the other two traces in the xz and xy planes. And then we use this triangle right here to represent the entirety of the plane 3x plus 2y plus 4z equals 12.